can see into your soul. Cause you're just a victim of mind control. I know you're too scared to think for yourself. When you'd rather back down on someone else, you think there's someone smarter. They know what's best for you. They get you on a lockdown. You want a lockdown. Afraid to try, afraid to be, afraid to have liberty. You want a lockdown. I said, don't you try to break them up. I said, just do what you're fucking told. I know deep inside your heart is black. When a heart attack, another heart attack is what you lack. For a gunshot jack to your back. If you could, but you can't, cause you want to lock down. You want to lock down. Well, afraid to try, afraid to be, afraid to have liberty. You want to lock down. I can't see through you, see past into you. I can't see everything you own. And all you own is a place from where you've been. So I will let it fucking go. Oh, afraid to try, afraid to be, afraid to have liberty. You wanna lock down. You wanna lock down. You wanna lock down. You wanna lock down.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to Allegedly. Happy, what is today? April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day. Hope you had some good jokes. As always, joined by the one, the only Frantic Missy. And we got a couple special guests with us tonight. We got Eric Hollerbach, and I think you also go by Klaus Schwab Jr., if I'm not mistaken.
No. No, I was an exchange student in high school in Germany, and I met Klaus Schwab Jr. And I'm his intern, and he trusts me. But people always confuse us because we both have a beard. But it's much more of like an abusive relationship, you know.
I got you. We got Vinny Eastwood with us too from New Zealand, right, Vinny?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So what's up, everybody? How's it going?
I'm good. I was looking at the new pronouns that are coming out. Now there's up to like 1,200, and I have an advantage because I was a German exchange student, and like literally, I know for a fact that the controllers are trolling us because I look at it. It's like der die das. It's like German conjugation. It's like what the fuck. Then I saw Opa, Oma as pronouns. Opa means grandpa in German. Oma means grandma in German. So, okay, you're a 5-year-old Korean girl, but you identify as a German grandpa.
I was going to say Oma also means mother or grandmother in Korean. So that's crazy. Like Oma.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, these are not, you're a tiny Korean girl. You know what I mean? Like you're not a German grandpa. Like this is all nonsense. And I think that they're pumping nonsense at us so we can't discern our dick from our deck, you know?
Exactly. Which is why we have Vinny here where it's 3:00 in the morning. Sorry, afternoon.
Afternoon. Yeah, I got that late. I was right about the 3 part.
Interestingly enough, I was up at 3:00 this morning.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have you guys here. As always, Eric, you and I met at the amazing Tinfoil Hat show that was in Dallas. And it was awesome because I met you and I met Alex Stein, and I got to hang out with my friends for the Big Dumb Podcast, Kyle and Puds. So I'm so glad to have you here. This is the first time you've guested for me, but it's not the first time I've guested for you. So it's good to see you again. How's everything been going in the comedy world? I know that you did kill Tony, and you didn't.
No,
but you didn't kill yourself. So we're 2 thumbs up, right?
I didn't do Kill Tony. There's like a lot of misinformation out there. No,
of course.
I heard Klaus Schwab Jr. did. I wasn't there. I don't know. You have to ask him about that.
I thought TikTok has a bad influence on people these days.
Yeah. But it's funny. You know how like just like birds of a feather, just like a moth flaps its wings and then it causes a tsunami in New Zealand or something.
Ashton Kutcher is behind that.
Sure, I believe so. So I used to, bum around in LA. I went in this house that was like a 4-bedroom house, And then like one of the people in this house, I just found off Craigslist, like when I was poor in Los Angeles, when I went to grad school in New Orleans for screenwriting, I got a phone call from this person going, "Oh, I'm running the Comedy Store in West Hollywood." I'm like, "Okay, that's fucking great." And now, then he went to Costa Rica on a Rumspringa. Then he was being a lawyer in Houston. And then he calls me up, "Oh, I'm working at the mothership." So I got a private tour of the mothership yesterday, and it's the most beautiful comedy club I've ever seen in my life. So,
well, I mean, aren't you living in Austin?
Yes.
Yeah. So you didn't have to even move. So that worked out.
No, I just, if you just are nice to people and you always give people fair dealings and, you're punctual and polite and fun to hang out, stuff happens. You just got to, keep trudging, man. I got out of jail and I was broke and everything fucking sucked in my life. And I going to a boxing gym here in Austin, Richard Lord's boxing gym. And now I work there. So that's why I have this background. So I don't know. That place put me back together. But anyway.
I remember when you went to jail.
Yeah.
We were supposed to do a podcast and he's like, "Sorry, I went to jail." And it would be bad, except for the fact that it's the second comedian friend of mine that's missed a podcast with me because they were in jail.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Keith Burr, does anything happen to him?
Well, Keith Burr, I mean.
I just got to ask, what is it about people cracking jokes about tyrants that gets them landed in jail? It's
you got to be careful. That's how you get shot in the back of the head twice and then hang yourself. Things happen. Arkansas is real.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things we don't really kind of have a handle on until you're sort of the victim of it. And by the time you're a victim of it, it's already too late.
Well, people do love to be victims these days. Everyone's got their own flag.
I made such a mistake in that situation. I just want to be clear. I closed the door on my roommate's foot because he was trying to get meth. And so he slammed his foot in the door. And then he was like, "I was injured. You injured me." The cops knock on the door. I'm so fucking stupid. I should have deadbolted everybody out and jerked off and took a nap. I would have been fine. And he could have slept outside and that would have been preferable. Instead, I let the cops in. I let the vampires in on a domestic abuse call, domestic violence, right? And they're like, "What happened?" I go, they're like, "Did you punch him?" I go, "No." They're like, "Did he punch you?" I said, "No." They said, "What happened?" I go, "Under a 1 second wrestling match, like under 1 second." And they're like, "Well, what happened? Did you initiate the violence?" And there was like, "Violence." I closed the door. He was in the door. I just closed it.
Just shut the door.
I shut the door. I didn't even touch him. And they're like, "Well, now we have probable cause." And they took me to fucking jail so that a meth head could score meth one day. And it's only when I went into Travis County prison that I saw the intake document and they said, "Well, you and your domestic partner." I go, "Time out on the domestic." I didn't even know I was in a gay relationship until it was on the paperwork. And I told the cop, I go, "Okay, I don't care if you say I beat him up. Don't say I sucked his dick, first of all. Second of all."
I mean, I don't worry if I beat him up, just as long as I don't beat him off.
Yeah.
In his defense, it winked at you. So
yeah. So yeah.
I mean, what freaking pronoun would you use then?
I'm going to change the name of this stream to "with guest Paul Pelosi Jr."
Yeah, I should have beat him with a hammer.
Old ball peen hammer, Pelosi. Does that make him a hero? Because he did do what we all don't have the guts to do. He went over that wall. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't know. Maybe he's a hero. I mean, he went in the back door as well, just like your meth loving roommate, Eric.
Can I tell you a story about him, by the way? Because I took him to Anderson Mill Pub. We did the open mic together at Anderson Mill Pub. We both performed, and I go, "Let's go home." He didn't have a car. I drove him there. I'm like, "Let's go." And he's like, "No, I'm going to hang out with Stinky Rufus." And
so it's the opposite of comedians driving cars. It's comedians getting driven around in cars.
Yeah, he's just a freeloader. I go, "You have a you're a freeloader. You have a free ride. Let's get out of here safe." And he's like, "No, I'm going to hang out with stupid Rufus and Stinky Pete." Well, he shows up back to the house like geeked out on cocaine. geeked out on cocaine. And I said the next morning, you were on fucking cocaine. That's why I said, why didn't you get in the car? And he goes, no, I didn't. He denied it for 4 months. Finally, he said, okay, I did cocaine, but I'm a heroin guy. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. I go, that's like saying, oh, I'm straight. It doesn't count the 50 dicks I suck. It doesn't. I'm a straight man.
Try not to suck any dicks on your way through the parking lot.
Yeah, you know, so what a nightmare. When I see what's happening between Bam Margera and Steve-O right now, that is exactly how he was. Yeah. He's just
I mean, if all the people in the jail found out about your partner, you know, you'd have to be beating them off with both hands.
You're scaring the crap out of Vinny. He's like, I got 4 months to go. I'm a little bit worried now.
I don't want to go to pound me in the ass
I
prison.
don't want to. Oh, butternuts.
I don't want to go any prison.
So, Vinny, now that we've Eric's told us way too much, TMI, about his life in Texas, where everything is bigger.
I mean, but Eric does make more sense now, doesn't he?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. We wouldn't have him on the show if he wasn't a friend of the show. I mean, he's a good friend of mine. So, I mean, I'll do anything for that man. Like, I got your back, Eric, no matter what. And Vinny, now that I know you through him, I guess I got to extend the same olive branch to you. What's going on over there with the Kiwis? How's that whole thing going? Now, just to set, the record straight, I watched all of the Canadian protests as they went on. And I remember being the most proud of the people in New Zealand because you all had people building bathrooms and building like tree houses. And you're like, we're never leaving these protests about like being locked down and locked in. So I was super impressed with y'all. Tell us what's going on with your situation and why Eric was so, cool to bring you here tonight, which is very nice to meet you, by the way.
Well, I wasn't on that big protest, actually, because I had bail conditions from being arrested, I think maybe 4 months earlier for protesting the lockdowns. We got outside, we protested, we didn't socially distance, we weren't wearing masks.
How dare you?
And we protested what we believed at the time was that masks didn't work, vaccines didn't work, and lockdowns didn't work to keep people healthy and safe from any alleged virus that hadn't been isolated. And since that day on August 18th, 2021, we've still been under bail conditions, and we've just been sentenced recently to 4 months for Billy TK, 20% off for his lifetime of support to charity organizations, and another 10% off for his character references. And likewise, I got 10% off for my character references and another 10% off for me telling the protesters to calm down and to not attack the police during the protest.
Were all the protesters women?
Not all of them.
Because if you tell them to calm down, they do not take that well at all. If you tell a woman to calm down, they lose their crap. They're like, excuse me?
Yes, this I know. And what was really kind of interesting about it is that all the things we were protesting about, all the mainstream media even, and stuff of that nature have come out and actually confirmed all the things that we were protesting about were true. Now, in the courtroom, however, the judge was advised by the police to ignore everything we know now and just pretend that we're back then when we didn't know what we know now and punish us accordingly. The maximum sentence for organizing a gathering and attending a gathering under COVID-19 lockdown rules, the law was passed at 4 o'clock in the morning, by the way, with no opposition, is 6 months in prison. And he started at 5 months for Billy, 5 months in prison, and started at 4 months for me. So that means we're going to serve 4 and 3 months respectively. Now we're on appeal at the moment, which means we can't really, due to our bail conditions, actually really talk about what that appeal entails.
Too late.
But
it's done.
But we're on bail until such a time as the Court of Appeal gives us a new date. I mean, I think on the 28th of April, if you go to erichollerbach.com and click on calendar, you'll see a little post there about me and the thing that we're going to be attending there. Now, that is just a preliminary thing. and the real appeal trial will be like maybe 5 months away or something of that nature. So, yeah.
It's
yeah,
not.
there you have it right there.
Just to be clear, this is not on Vinny Eastwood's social media in any way, shape, and form. This is not on Vinny Eastwood's social media, just to be clear. So no bail condition will be disrespected under my watch today.
I love that you guys are like willing to like chance it. I love a maverick, so I'm 100% about it. We have a lawyer that represents us. He's in the house, Mr. Duggar. So, yep, he's
a pretty funny little write up here.
Yeah,
thank you. April Fool's Day. I wrote this on my website. It's my religious holiday, so I have
today still is April Fool's Day. So
yes.
The Sabbath.
The Sabbath. We were talking in the pre-show, Vinny, about how we both have some things in common. I have a deck. You have a deck. Your deck fell off. My deck is new.
I mean, and the only question is really whose deck is bigger?
Well, I cut down a bush, so I hope mine looks bigger.
Yeah, it's just for optics, Depends where you measure it too.
You can't measure from the base.
I did the opposite. I grew some manuka trees to conceal my deck from the neighbors.
If I knew what those were, I would be impressed.
Yeah. You ever heard of manuka honey?
I have heard of the psychedelic honey. Is that the psychedelic honey?
No, it's not. It's just a very, very common honey made from the manuka tree, or commonly known as the tea tree.
I think I have some of my covered, actually.
This stuff is highly combustible. You could cut fresh leaves off of the tree, chuck them in a fire, and they'll go up.
Clearly, you've never heard of coffee creamer and a leaf blower. I mean, if you want to catch something on fire, like, no more koala chlamydia. Just saying.
Coffee
sorry, New
creamer
Zealand, my bad.
is flammable?
Yeah, coffee creamer is extremely flammable. The powdered kind? Yeah.
Oh, that's it. And you burn chlamydia off with that?
Yeah, 100%. That's how you get rid of half the forest
every day,
in Australia.
I know what I'm doing tonight.
Hey, well, if you're going to bring into Nancy Pelosi's home, I suggest you bring some coffee creamer and a leaf blower. Not a hammer. Come on.
Yeah, just don't bring a hammer.
We do smash some phones like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't bring a hammer. They'll see that coming.
Yeah, everything's a nail then. Right?
Can I talk about my court case? It's such theater. It's such passive aggressive theater. And like they put on these powdered wigs and they put on this justice theater. But then in the back room, it's totally different. Like I took a plea deal for expediency. Also, because I was going to go on vacation to Germany and they may have scheduled the court case during that time. And if I missed the court case, then they would have thrown the book at me for the nonsense I just described happened. So instead, I took a plea deal of like a noise complaint, disorderly conduct noise complaint. Like I was playing the radio and having a pizza party and the cops came and said, take it, turn it down.
Like
boys.
a Disney movie.
Yeah. So then on 90, they gave me a 90 days, it'll be dismissed. Okay, take the plea deal and in 90 days, it'll be dismissed. 118 days later, after I sent 3 letters to the fucking judge, because the other judge was, whatever. They finally send me a letter. Okay, this has been dismissed. They don't care. It's not like drug addicts who, impose tyranny on you, really are watching the calendar for the 90 days of the plea deal. For them, it's off their desk, out of their hair. And I was told by the cop, I go, my case one time was supposed to be on the board downstairs of all the cases, right? And I go, it's not on the board, although they just changed it like the night before. And because I guess the judge had to go skiing or something in Tahoe. And I said, well, why isn't it on the board? And the policeman just gave me the best piece of advice. He goes, if you're not up the ass of your lawyer and judge, they will ignore you for the rest of your life. Ooh. You have to push them to do. It's not like I gave them a flat fee. It's not per hour. I gave them a flat fee, handle this case. And so they don't give a fuck. They want to work less and keep more of the money. Less hours, more money. So if you're not following up, plus they have how many cases? So if you're not following up on the judge, and then my lawyer's like, don't talk to the judge. Well, after 90 days, it's like, I'm gonna stick my finger in the judge's asshole. I don't give a fuck. It's supposed to be dismissed today.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the court system for you. As someone who works as a legal assistant paralegal for a couple years, and as someone who is currently a notary that files court cases for judges, two judges from attorneys that live out of state, I'll tell you this much right now: the legal system is so slow unless you are important. I mean, I've been ranting and raving since it's happened, but in May of 2022. They arrested the alleged killer of Brittany Drexel, right? Raymond Moody. And he was sentenced to life in prison in October of 2022. Alex Murdaugh, right? He was arrested in June of 2021, right? Wasn't really charged, had no real case until July or August. Went to court, was convicted in December of 2022. These cases go so fast. And what's crazy is that the people that are actually in jail, that are actually in need of getting in front of a judge, the people that have been there, sometimes 2, sometimes 3 years. And I'm like, why is it these cases take precedence and these ones that are important, that are actual people, not people that are definitively murderers, definitively pieces of shit? Why is it these ones take so long to get through the court system? And no one can answer that for me. But there's definitely a system. Ooh, new mic. Sorry.
I was just thinking to myself that the system they're in is feather in the cap type thing. I convicted a murderer. How many murderers have you convicted? You know, that kind of thing. So they prioritize those big cases because then they can stamp their freaking name on it and take credit for it.
Yeah, the prosecutor wants to make a name for themselves. That's a real problem. It was crazy because the Murdaugh case, which I don't know if Vinny, you're from New Zealand. Do you know anything about Alex Murdaugh? You ever heard of the guy? No? Go check it out. It is, I mean, they did a Netflix thing on it. It's a pretty big case. It's a guy named Alex Murdaugh. His family were solicitors in South Carolina for over 100 years. His family held the role in that county for solicitor. And the coroner in that county happened to not even have a medical license. Right. And there's all these murders now connected to this family, and they're all coming out all at once. So you should check it out. Alex Murdaugh. So, yeah. But I've been looking into that case the last couple of weeks, and I've learned so much about the justice system that I didn't see before because I wasn't looking for it. And then the next thing you know, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's Friday, and Trump is being indicted on a case that, what was it they said? It had been statute of limitations 2 years, right?
Yeah, that's been way out.
OJ was weird. I don't know, P. Diggs. I do not know how long it took for them to charge.
I'm not sure either.
To go from the charge to the court for OJ. I'm pretty sure they tap danced all over that.
Well, it seems as though people who have a lot of money, it seems to go faster, and it probably has something to do with seizing their assets and things like that. If this guy's got nothing sitting over here, they don't give a damn. They'll just let him sit in jail.
Vinny, Vinny, both you and Eric, as both people that have dealt with the justice system in your respective areas, what do you guys think about the I'm gonna say the forbidden phrase, the Andrew Tate situation? What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's wrong? What do you think? Vinny, go first.
I'll have to go second because I don't even know the name.
You don't know who Andrew Tate is?
No,
you're lucky.
I've been busy
bless your
facing
Kiwi heart. Oh, darling.
I've been busy facing court charges.
Oh, bless you. You've been dealing with your own court case. Heard. Go ahead, Eric.
I mean, from what I understand, it started from, Greta Thunberg is maybe she was made in a beaker. It looks to me like she has fetal
Didn't graduate in high school.
Looks to me like she has fetal alcohol syndrome. I'm sorry?
With her lip, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got there are telltale signs to fetal alcohol syndrome. Her lip, her upper lip, that is having that little ridge. That's a sign.
So it goes with the territory that the controllers are drug addict pieces of shit, and they're like a Rockefeller Rothschild busts a nut in a maid, and they're like, what are we going to do with this offspring? And there's climate change? I don't know. And so Andrew Tate sends one tweet to Greta Thunberg, and then the Romanian police arrest him. It just shows you the controllers and how the system actually works. He starts getting famous. He starts speaking up for men's rights and equality. And then Greta Thunberg, who, doesn't go to school. She didn't finish school, but she was probably, MK Ultra. So they're like, that's technically a PhD. And so, that you pissed off the
work for Cosby.
Yeah, you pissed off the Alco kid of a fucking oligarch, and then there you go, Bob's your uncle.
Well, I think Andrew Tate's, this is the guy who's worth like $20 million and started his career by using the women he dated as like call girls, like on a hotline kind of thing.
I mean, if you could do it, wouldn't you get away with it if you could?
And he's worth a lot more than that, I think. But he started out as what
we can't
MMA.
all be winners, but the So now I do know who you're talking about, and I recall that he was arrested, but I didn't know that it was because he sent a message to Greta Thunberg.
Yeah, what's crazy is it was about a pizza that they found him, so I've been calling it Pizza Tate.
Pizza Tate.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what to think of that guy either way. He seems like I don't know. A real clown.
I don't think he's attractive in any way, shape, or form. Like he looks like, I don't know, like what was that show, that movie, The Witches, where they had when the witches turned back into rats or whatever. Like that's what he looks like to me. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
No.
Witches? Yeah, and then like Angelica Houston or whatever turns back into like a rat. That is what Andrew Tate looks like to me. His ears and all, I don't know. It just doesn't look. Again, but then I don't think any of these people I don't think any of these people are human. I mean, I think there's some serious issues going on. I mean, look at what was it? Jeffrey Epstein, right?
And here's something to bring up here.
Harvey Weinstein, not to bring up all these Steens, but yeah.
Stingray's asking about Alec Baldwin, and I haven't really been keeping up with that. Our lawyer, Mr.
He got a
Duggar,
teardrop tattoo recently.
Did he really? Okay, I can see it. I can see it happening. Our lawyer says that Alec Baldwin was charged with manslaughter. So
he should have been charged with woman slaughter. See, they don't respect pronouns at all.
Exactly. Yeah. He should be charged, though. I mean, that's on him. Anybody
Vinny,
that has
you
a
look
gun.
very confused. You're like,
you don't know about you don't know about that one, Vinny?
He was on a set, and a gun.
Yeah.
He was having some kind of stoush with a lady director or something like that, and he pointed a stage gun at her and fired a real bullet out of it and killed her.
Well, see, and they try to get away.
Gun. That's a gun. We have guns here in America. It's a thing.
Yeah, they always try to say that and frame it different, like it's a stage gun, but they don't use fake guns on movies. They are real guns that they are using. It's still a real gun. They just called, like they're framing it as a stage gun, but no, it's a real gun. They were using it for target practice.
It killed someone
10 minutes earlier.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Alec Baldwin, though, like, let's be honest, Alec Baldwin has his own problems at home. I mean, his wife isn't Spanish, but then she goes, "How you say cucumber?"
Right, his fake Spanish wife. She like grew up in like New Jersey or something and went to Spain for like a week or something.
Yes. She's like AOC's abuela. Nobody knows who the hell she is or where she came from. How to help her.
I don't know. I have sympathy for that situation. When I was in Germany and I get in German mode, then I start thinking in German, and I don't know. Maybe who knows? Who cares about that? But whatever. But I think that just like we were talking about with the show trials, like OJ, they dragged on the OJ case, and they're like, no, this is a show trial, meaning like NBC and ABC are bidding for the rights to play the trial like a Super Bowl. Like Johnny Depp's divorce court. I'm sure all the big networks where it's a show trial. What do you think that means? And so this was a show murder. So like they've done this to Bruce Lee's kid. They've done this to Bruce Lee. Like they set up a situation with the powdered wigs, with the producers, directors, the art department. I've worked on Shark Tank. I've worked on reality shows. Not one thing goes on fucking film that they didn't intend for. Right. You don't think that you're going to hand someone a gun with a real bullet and like that Alec Baldwin should not be charged with manslaughter. The prop department, I mean, who gave him? So he said, okay, so they're like ready, set, go, film. And then, clearly there was like an intelligence asset that was getting out of whack, who was the makeup girl that day, and they decided to fucking kill her. There's no way that
The difference there is, though, is when this happened, it wasn't during filming. It was, they weren't filming at the time. He just randomly picked up the gun and aimed it over at a crowd of people and pulled the trigger.
Yeah, so there's no reason to have live rounds.
It wasn't during filming, and they shouldn't have been. I mean, yes.
How do you have live rounds, like live rounds on a movie set?
Well, they were target shooting the gun in between scenes. They were over there and they were shooting at cans or whatever they were doing, and somebody laid the gun back down. He picked it up, pointed it into where the three people were standing, and pulled the damn trigger. It wasn't even during filming. So that's where, I mean, anybody in their right mind needs to know, if you're picking up a gun, look at it, make sure. I mean, don't ever point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger if you don't
ever point a gun at anybody.
Yeah, it's basically.
That's the way I was raised. I was raised saying that you don't point it, even if you check the chamber and you know it's unloaded, you do not point a gun, loaded or unloaded, at another person. You just don't do it. You just don't do it.
Yeah, if you don't want to end up with a
teardrop tattoo.
Well, if you just walked outside and randomly shot a gun into the woods and it went into your neighbor's house and killed the neighbor sitting there, you're going to get charged with manslaughter.
Unless you live in Chicago.
Right, exactly. Then you get a thing. See, I mean, it's a crazy situation. I mean, my uncle was actually on the set when Brandon Lee got shot. And that was
I didn't know that.
It was a crazy situation. And that at least was different. It was during filming. There was a mess up. I mean, do you all know how that happened, or?
No. Are you familiar with the movie The Crow, Vinny?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Brandon Lee killing. So
Eric, yeah, familiar.
Well, see what they did in that show, and they do this in movies a lot, and they used to more so. But if you have a gun pointed at you, you can tell if the cylinder's empty, if there's no bullets in it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
what they would do is they would just take the bullet out and put them into the cylinder, so that it would look like, if you're doing a scene like this, you can see those. Well, and they would take the powder out of the gun and, put the bullet back in the casing and slide them in there. So it was an empty shell, basically, no powder, no nothing, just the bullet. So this scene. Well, then what they do is they'll take those shells out and put blanks in. Well, it had loosened up. The bullet had loosened up when they had dumped the powder out and doing that. So when they removed those out, one bullet actually stayed in the cylinder. No shell, no nothing, just that bullet. So when that thing rotated around, it happened to hit with a blank in there and shot, because the bullet had moved and gone into the barrel and was just sitting in the barrel.
Didn't Bruce Lee die under equally strange circumstances?
Yes, very, very strange circumstances as well. But
yeah, that's why I just think it's kind of, in my opinion, who knows, but I think it was kind of like a show murder. Like someone was trying to teach someone a lesson, and maybe, Alec Baldwin, he is an empty vessel of screenwriters and producers. He's an actor, he is an empty vessel. It's like he's like a model that he walking down the runway with lines that he can't write or understand. I mean, he's a out of control cokehead retard, and so he's just he's being used by a controller in someone's game.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, like, as someone who has done a lot of research on all like these celebrities and all the strange celebrity deaths that happen. I don't know why I didn't have him on my list yet. If I got to add, Brendan Lee to that list, I guess. But as someone who's looking at all that stuff, it just seems like all these cases are connected. I mean, the craziest one for me was when Kate Spade hung herself from a doorknob with a red scarf, right? And then her husband, whose name is Andy Spade, who's David Spade's brother, right? The first time he leaves the house after Kate Spade hangs herself from a doorknob, allegedly, he's wearing a rescuer's mask.
Like a big rat. A big rat face. Yeah, he's a rat.
No, it was the cartoon, The Rescuers. And when you go to look at what The Rescuers is, it is a 1970-something movie starring Zsa Zsa Gabor, who slapped a cop. Good for her. Zsa Zsa Gabor, Bob Newhart, right? And basically it's about a little girl named Penny, as in money, who gets kidnapped by this woman named Medusa to go get a diamond out of a hole in like some crazy like swamp, right? But when Bianca and Josh Gobor's character, and I think whatever Bob Newhart's character's name is, I can't remember, not important, who also wears a rough scarf, by the way, goes to go check out the orphanage, see what happened to her. This cat that lives at the orphanage is like, oh, we just thought she ran away. I'm like, dude, she's like carrying around a teddy bear. Penny is obviously way too young for you to think that she ran away and be fine. And no one's checking on her. And I'm like, oh my God. And then the next day after Kate Spade kills herself, hanging herself from a doorknob with a red scarf, her husband leaves the house wearing this mask of this character from this 1970-something movie called The Rescuers about saving, and they have a whole United Nations of these animals. Like it's absolutely insane. And that's the thing he leaves the house in. That 1970s something mask. Where does he even find something like that? It's so strange. And you go, oh, okay. We're not talking about regular people. We're talking about giving messaging through cartoons that are Disney, that are messed up. Like that's when you go, oh, okay. We're not operating with the same deck now. Understood.
Yeah. Mind control rituals. Right?
100% ritualistic. 100%.
Like, imagine if we're all living inside kind of just some kind of giant satanic ritual right now as we speak. Everything that's going on everywhere is just some kind of ritual that's being cooked up in some giant cauldron and just go, let's get everybody to do this. It'll create more satanic energy for our Dark Lord.
Well, let's talk about CERN. Let's talk about the Georgia Guidestones. Let's talk about how the day that the Georgia Guidestones got bombed, right? By the way, they never found the time capsule either. The day the Georgia Guidestones got bombed, right? That happened to also be at the same exact time at 4 a.m. that CERN was reopening. Weird, huh? Like, what are the chances of this, right? And it's not just that; it's all the time. It's in everything. I mean, whether it's the symbol of your car, or whether it is, the Olympics, or whether it is, what we watch on TV, or whether it's, just as simple as, different ritualistic things we do, like raising our hand to go to the bathroom in class.
Well,
there's all this stuff is connected.
The red and the blue behind me of the boxing ring, red versus blue, Democrat, Republican, as initiates become initiated into Freemasonry, what do? They stand on a checkerboard, black and white, good and evil. They stand under two pillars, Yohim and Boaz, meaning fire and ice, right? This is so.
Well, that's where the chessboard came from. It came from ancient god battles that people would have with figurines.
That's why referees wear black and white shirts. Like, this fight should be stopped.
I just assumed it's because they're all racist. All of them. They're all racist.
We're just living in the programmer system. Who knows? Sometimes people break through, like Vinny Eastwood, and they get smacked down by their towny loser government.
Yeah. Going up against the system directly versus trying to find a way around it, that's kind of like the big question behind everybody's kind of noggin at the moment, isn't it?
Well, I mean, have you done? Okay, so what I tell people that are facing an insurmountable issue in their life, I always tell them to sit down and write down not all the things that they're worried about, but all the things that are going to come positive out of the thing they have to deal with. It's like, worst case scenario, let's say the whole thing goes to shit. You get fucked. There's nothing you can do about it. You can come out the other side of it, not being a victim, but being someone to tell your story, and a martyr. Martyrs tend to get a lot of good attention. Then there's the fact that you're going to get in really good shape. All you're going to have to do is work out, right? You're going to be like, right? You're going to come out in amazing shape. Let's talk about the positive things. The negative things, I'm sure you've thought about all of those, but sometimes you just have to focus in on the things that are going to come out of it that are positive. At the end of the day, I hope that never happens. I hope that the people defend you. I hope that you're able to appeal everything. I hope that people stand up for you the way they're supposed to. But worst case scenario, always be prepared for the worst, but hope for the best. And Vinny, like we put up your information. Tiff, can you pull that up again? How can we support you, Vinny, in your fight? Because I want to be able to support you.
At the moment, we've got significant court costs and things of that nature. We've got a big lawyer's bill to pay off, and also we've got an 8-week-old, and we need some new nappies for him, some newborn nappies for him at the moment. And yeah, things are tough and tight with food and everything, man. So it's difficult to get stuff done around the place. We need help with the property and and that kind of thing. It's just a small little house that we're renting, but it's got such a freaking huge lawn and big gardens and stuff that we just don't have the time to bloody go and do that because we're taking care of the baby. So, so much help is needed at this point, and mostly it's just about getting out awareness that the New Zealand government, and this is the reason why we held this protest in the first place, was to show people that the New Zealand government has gone tyrannical. It's not going to stop being tyrannical, and that any form of peaceful protest or freedom of speech will be quashed, and that New Zealanders have to think about other means of resistance and finding a way around the system, because protesting, fighting them in the courts and all of that kind of thing won't work. And
peaceful
that's why
protest should be able to happen.
That's why we're doing it, to prove in a very public light. Because if anybody else protested and got busted, they don't have the public spotlight on them. Myself and Billy TK do. And so we're able to prove in the public spotlight what is really going on here, unlike anybody else. And although it's at great personal cost to ourselves and our families, it's not about us. It's not about
I can hear the baby in the background.
Everyone. Yeah.
I can hear the little guy in the background, huh? Oh, goodness.
Little Alfie.
So let me ask you this.
Alfie
Vinny.
Eastwood.
Now, Vinny, I'm not too familiar with how things were in New Zealand, but can you give us a summary of like what the lockdowns were like there?
Well, I mean, we're a very small country, and about 30% of small businesses got shut down and will never reopen as a result of the extensive lockdowns that we implemented around here. And there was $1 billion worth of advertising given to both the publicly funded and mainstream media to run COVID-19 lockdown and COVID-19 vaccine advertisements so that you could switch from channel to channel to channel, whether it be television or radio, and still be hit with this. This is a COVID-19 announcement.
I hear a little guy in the background. He does not believe in lockdowns, I can tell.
Yeah.
He's not interested.
So did they shut you down pretty hardcore? I mean, they pretty much just put you locked in your houses? Or
I'd been an activist for 15 years, and I'd seen bail conditions that would make your blood run cold up until they gave us our bail conditions, and you never seen anything like it. Not able to access the internet, not able to have a mobile, an internet-capable device, not being able to leave the house, bail checks at like 11 o'clock at night, 4 o'clock.
What are you supposed to do? Get like a jitterbug
know.
flip phone with like soft buttons for like the elderly? Like, how are you supposed to have a phone?
I had a landline, and that was basically what I had to do. I had some loyal listeners and stuff give me a call and give me a hand getting into contact with many of the people internationally who had no idea what had happened to me that I couldn't contact because I couldn't use the internet. And so, yeah, it was a very isolating and terrible time for me during those 6 weeks when the lockdown bail conditions on me were still on, at the same time that there was a lockdown, that we had no people in our bubble to help us, no parents, no grandparents to come around and help us take care of our 1-year-old at the time, my ex-wife, Sarah. So,
what do you mean by your bubble?
In New Zealand, you had this thing called a bubble. You had to select certain people that lived within a certain distance from you that were allowed to come over to your place and help you out and stuff like that. But you're only allowed a certain amount of people in your bubble, and we didn't have anybody living near us who was able to put us in their bubble to be able to come over and help us out because they had their own problems and their own families and stuff to worry about at the time.
So hang on. Let me get this straight. You had to go register with the government, your friends and family unit, in order to have them be able to have contact with you?
Yeah, basically. It was the worst kind of breach of all the bills of rights that we've got in this country for a very, very long time, you know.
How
well,
as an American, I've seen Americans put up with a lot of crap, but like I'm sitting there going like, oh, what? You have to you have to tell the government who your friends and your family members are. You're allowed to even have contact with, even if you have a little baby or you got something going on at home. Like, are you kidding me?
I mean, this could piss more people off than the top 8 friends on MySpace. I mean, it's like, why wasn't I in your bubble? You know, go back and start arguing over it.
Yeah, I mean that's another.
I didn't
side
make
to it.
the bubble. I didn't make your bubble. God damn it.
I mean, I get it. Like, I would probably never be in your bubble because my deck is bigger. Totally respect that. But I mean, Vinny, like, how do you decide? First of all, why do you have to tell the government who your friends and family with? Gross. Second of all, like,
prevent COVID-19 spread.
As an American, as someone who respects and understands freedom, that is so beyond the pale of anything I can even understand. Like, I can't even understand that as an American.
Well, you know, you've got the legislature, you've got the president, the executive, and you've got the counties and the governments and the sheriffs and everything. In New Zealand, it's all one. The New Zealand Parliament, and it is all powerful. It is what's known as a sovereign parliamentary dictatorship. That's why they could pass the COVID-19 rules at 4:00 in the morning with no opposition. That's why they can do what they're doing to myself and Billy TK with almost nobody being able to challenge them. So the country here used to have a good reputation worldwide, but since the treatment of myself and Billy TK and also Posey Parker more recently,
I saw that.
We're seeing a lot of people turn on New Zealand, and with good reason. This is a very corrupt country with a lot of money laundering going on, a lot of organized crime, and a lot of, and that's both private and public, of course.
Tell us about your documentary. Isn't there a documentary about all this? People can go check this out because I've seen your documentary. It actually came up on my feed, like, without me knowing you at all. I think it was a couple weeks ago in YouTube.
Yeah, The Day Democracy Died, I think is my little doco.
That's
you can
crazy.
see that on my website, vinnyeastwood.com. If you scroll down and just click on The Day Democracy Died banner, the big blue banner, and you can go and watch that on Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute and all of the places that haven't been censored yet.
I think I saw it on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. It came up. Maybe it was Rumble. Maybe it was Rumble. It was Rumble. I've been spending a lot of time on Rumble, but you know how it is. Like, when it comes to things that you watch, you forget where you saw it. Yeah. Tell people about your documentary and what it talks about, and who made it, and why you became featured in it.
Oh, you're talking about River of Lies, or my one, The Day Democracy Died, about our arrest.
The day democracy died.
It was the day that democracy.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Well, basically, it's just when I was busted, I wasn't able to have access to the internet. And unbeknownst to me, there was a lot of activity online concerning my case, and a lot of people making videos and putting them up and stuff that I hadn't seen until I was able to get access to the internet back after, I think, going into court 4 different times to try and appeal the bail conditions. And so I watched all these different versions of what had happened to me online and downloaded them all and then re-edited them so that they were all together. So you could have multiple camera angles covering the same thing and then cutting from one to the other, all lined up in sequence, so that people could see precisely what happened on that day in a kind of cinematic type thing with the music and little slides appearing here and there to illustrate things myself and other speakers were saying. And it closes off with some of the people who were, I think, joyous that we got arrested and made a hell of a lot of fun of us for it, and closes off with just basically, we didn't do this for us, and you should just remember us. That's all it is. Just remember what we fought for. Remember what we got taken the fall for, guys. Because if they're doing this to us, they're going to do it to you. And there really is no escape from tyranny. You have to stand up to it.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that surprised me, I mean, no one ever thought it would be France protest. I mean, literally, the joke about France is that they always wave a white flag. It's like, oh yeah, sorry, I don't surrender like France, and that's the running joke about France. No one ever thought that it would be France that would be protesting in the Elvis protest for what is it now, 4 years straight, 5 years straight. It's been a while, 4 years straight, right? I mean, Luke Rogowski did a great job covering that, and then also Canada stepping up. No one expected Canada to step up, right? I still think we need to build that northern wall, but I think it's interesting that like Canada was one of the ones that stepped up, and then to see people from New Zealand, y'all traditionally, sorry, I'm Southern, so I said the word y'all, which means you all traditionally have been portrayed as a group of people that were kind and interesting and fun, and like your Maori like background, like y'all had such a, you were so in touch with your cultural like background. Like it's shocking to me that New Zealand would be one of the places where they would shut the lid and screw it on, because y'all were never violent or out of control or problematic as people. So it doesn't make any sense to me why they would need such draconian laws in New Zealand. But the fact that you guys fought back, oh, I was so proud of y'all. I was so proud of y'all when I watched that. But I'm watching Canada, I'm watching France, I'm watching Italy, I'm watching you guys, I'm watching everybody protest, and I'm like so proud of every single one of you. We tried to protest. Oh yeah, Ash and I, we've got this whole thing where we're anti-Canadian. We don't hate Canada as much as we just hate what they stand for, which is maple syrup and the poutine of the North. So can't trust that poutine.
Well, that's why. That's why I moved to Texas, because I was playing at this place called the Brighton Bar. I was doing comedy shows there, like
Brighton Beach.
Yeah, the Brighton Bar, in Brighton Beach, New Jersey. That place closed. The Stress Factory, New Brunswick, I would run the open mics sometimes. They stopped doing that. They also stopped doing like the local talent showcases, which I was kind of getting in, like, and everything pulled back, and Texas opened wide up. And I really think it's a cultural thing. If a police officer or sheriff tried to come to a independent business owner's property and shut it down, the Texas guy would be like, I think you're mistaken, sir. You seem to be in the wrong place.
You sound so Texas. I was transported.
The door's right there. Why don't you see yourself out? You know,
now you sound so Texas that I was transsexual.
Yeah, he's transsexual. That'll be better. We fix that in post.
It's like when you get your context and your sex mixed up at the same time.
It's like it's just this. It's just this all day.
For the lockdowns, Texas and Florida had a genius strategy. No, we're not doing that, and fuck you. We get sunshine, fuck you. We have vitamin D and good immune systems, and the disinfecting rays of the sun.
Everybody loves the vitamin D.
Yeah, that'll take care of it.
And it wasn't just those; it was the whole Southeast, really. I mean, you look at Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina was a little bit strict about it.
We were done in like July of 2020.
I was in Georgia, and we were done in, it was June, because my brother got married the first weekend of June, and we were in Savannah, Georgia, on a riverboat with 200 people at a wedding reception.
Was Trump there?
In June 2020. No, unfortunately not.
Every time I hear Riverboat Casino Captain, I'm like, oh, is Trump there?
But yeah, it was over. It was over.
According to the left, that's how things work.
That was it. And we gave them 2 weeks like they asked for at the beginning. But after that 2 weeks, it was like, nope, done. Not playing this game anymore. Just completely done.
I want to say July, or maybe it was June of 2020. We were done. We were done here. But then again, I was also screaming in May of 2020 that this is a lab leak. And I lost a lot of friends and family because of it. I mean, it just goes to show you, like, how dangerous was it? I mean, for 2 years, we didn't have a flu, which seems really stupid considering when you look back at all the other records. And then you've got to start asking yourself, well, are all these deaths from flus real? Then you start asking yourself, like, how much of anything is real? I mean, we assume that these hospitals are like run and owned by people that care about other people. I mean, that's why they're called like Our Mercy. They're called like, what is another one? Sister Francine and like Saint Francis, and it's all like Christian names, and that's how those.
But you definitely don't want to. But you definitely don't want to go to any hospital that's named Heaven's Gate or something like that.
Oh, well, only if you're wearing Nikes. Hey, Nikes are expensive. That is an expensive hospital bill to buy Nazis and a purple cape.
No, you're never getting out of there.
Right? No.
I don't want to get discharged.
As they say, well, I've been saying for a long time, I want to open up a comedy club called Guy and a Punchline.
Yeah.
Guy space and space a space punchline.
Yeah. But I think what they did is they see who wears a mask, who doesn't, who gets jabbed, who doesn't. Yochim and Boaz, red and blue. They're trying to divide us. Why? I knew that this operation, the second they said grandma's the enemy, I go, fuck your mother's asshole. I'm not doing any of this shit.
Not with those granny panties on.
Yeah. But, because my dad survived, he was working on Wall Street during 9/11. I'm not doing this anymore. That gave me a herd immunity to propaganda. Like, that was my vaccine for propaganda. By the way, and not for nothing, but he started having a lot of mood disturbances afterward. And, and looking back, I'm like, oh, he has PTSD. I never even thought about that. It's like, we're like, oh, dad's a little edgy. And like him and my mom started fighting more. It's like, yeah, that was all PTSD. And then what do? They demolished these Twin Towers, and what do they replace it with? A needle.
It's so ugly. It is fucking ugly.
A big syringe.
I'm gonna say it. Well, I never thought of that.
Yeah, so it's a big syringe in the sky to go, you are so fucking dumb, you dumb sheep. We're going to turn the Twin Towers, the last fucking false flag we did on you, and we're going to replace it with a needle, and you will do nothing because you're a bitch. You're stupid sheep. That's what they did.
Weren't those towers like 80% empty at the time?
Yeah, and they were filled with asbestos, and they were not very well rented. And so Larry Silverstein bought the deed, not from Port Authority, 9 months before.
Not to be confused with the Giving Tree Silverstein.
For $1, actually, he put down.
Yeah,
all the rest was on credit, and then he got double terrorism insurance, and then argued that each plane hitting each tower was a separate attack, so he got like a quadruple terrorism payout insurance, which means that for $1 he was able to build this entire new Freedom Tower from scratch, despite the fact that Nikau contractors in New Zealand were actually asked by and bid on the trade tower to remove the asbestos, and they recommended controlled demolition. And the people at the World Trade Center said, no, we're not allowed to do controlled demolition because the EPA said we couldn't, or the toxic dust would come down. And then on the day when all these put options and things like that were put on airlines and they were going to close Wall Street, they kept it open because the EPA said that the air is safe.
I've got one joke about that. What is Donna Summer's name in the eulogies? Oh, that's right, Summer Donna. They killed Donna Summer. She was one of the people that she had her windows open when all that stuff went down. When it comes down to the Twin Towers, we're really going to talk about that. If we're going to get into that, let's talk about. I pulled the building permits. Have you guys ever pulled the building permits for that? I pulled all the building permits. I actually showed up at the office with a FOIA and got a copy of all the building permits for both towers and for any other projects that went on within the towers from the beginning of its origin to the end of its, time on this earth. And I found a really interesting link to a group called Gelatin, which was a group of Mossad demolition experts who built a porch onto one of the Twin Towers on I think it's the 92nd or 94th floor. I don't have the documents right in front of me, but I can pull them there in my file cabinet downstairs in my old office. I gotta move into my new office is a closet, so there's not room for a file cabinet. We'll work it out later. But I've got the actual building permits from this group called Gelatin, and it was an art group, and it was made up of a bunch of Israelis, and they would actually go door to door and ask for money from people from the State Department's wives. Why? Well, if you give money to this art group made up of ex-Mossad demolition and bomb experts, right, that may or may not have wired the Twin Towers, which there's actually pictures of them with Soviet-era blasting caps behind them, like walls of them, right? Now, if you're from the State Department, well, how are you able to defend that? If you work for the State Department and you've given these people money for their art project, or your wife at home who'd know what the hell she didn't know what the hell she was doing did. Now all of a sudden, you can't implicate them. They are now immune. So there's all that. That explains your dancing Israelis.
Yeah, the controllers just hide behind tape. They go like, "Oh, who has diplomatic immunity? Alec Baldwin. We'll have him pull the trigger." The Chinese mafia is mad that Bruce Lee started working with America. They pulled the trigger. It's like we're just living there.
What was it? Michael C. Rupert from thewilderness.com. I think it might have been the very first conspiracy documentary presentation I'd ever watched, to my knowledge. And he said that there was a company called Zenith Shipping, an Israeli shipping company in the Twin Towers, who moved out a week or two before the 9/11, and they broke their lease.
It's the same as the television company Zenith. They snuck in stuff in TV boxes. Yeah. There's a lot to that. I mean, I could go on. I mean, if you got 4 hours, I could talk about nothing but 9/11 stuff for at least 4 hours and never run out of something to talk about. Because that's how thick and how deep it is. And that's what they count on. They count on us not having the energy or the mentality to discover for ourselves what's really happening. Hang on, Jack in the text.
It's as thick and as deep as your dick.
Oh, so my deck is huge. I've been sending people deck pics for a while now since it got finished because I'm really proud of it.
Where are you measuring from? Are you going from the
base? I know that's cheating.
No, are you going from the house or where the
12-inch record? It better be a 12-inch record.
Okay, I'm a little. Some of this is suspect.
A little.
It kind of looks like a meatball sub, but
we got to build that wall. We got to build that northern wall. So someone asked in the chat, which is a great question. They refer to the Space Needle in Seattle as the needle syringe a lot because because there's a lot of addiction in Seattle. I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that before. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Courtney Love has her own issues going on. What do you have any of you guys read Weird Scenes from the Canyon? No? Yes?
No.
Well, Courtney Love was the triads is what the Chinese mafia is called. Courtney Love was actually sussed out to the triads, for lack of a better word. I'm trying to be polite on YouTube. Then she went on to go into her first mental institution when she was 13. She definitely murdered Kurt Cobain. All of her songs were written by Billy Corgan, who actually introduced her also to Kurt Cobain as well. And if you listen to her songs, they're all about demons. It's really crazy.
Oh, wow.
This is another layer of the Seattle nonsense. It's really sad there. I feel bad for people in Seattle. Although we did jump the shark culturally in the last year, which I don't know if I'm proud of or terrified of. You would think that jumping the shark would be the moment that Paul Pelosi got hit with a hammer in a bathroom and there was no server present, no bleach bit. You would think that would be the moment. But I think really it was when someone who was a furry shot a member of Antifa in a Portland park and killed them. I think that's when we jumped the shark culturally. What do you guys think? What's your moment of jumping the shark culturally? It may be different in New Zealand, but Vinny, when do you think the world jumped the shark culturally?
I don't know. I think just very recently with that Posey Parker stuff that happened in New Zealand, you had no police around and all these violent, screaming, dangerous people basically launching themselves at an event called Let Women Speak.
Were they wearing masks?
Right? And no, I mean, not all of them. There were some of them bitches there and inhaling their own carbon dioxide, and they'll die in order to contribute to climate change later on. At least I live in hope.
I saw that. But they were jumping over the barricades and all?
Yeah. Just doing all of this stuff, making a woman fear for her life, and as a man, you want to protect your women folk, because without your women folk, there ain't no folk going to be around for much longer,
If you don't believe us, ask the trans community.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trans community problem is going to sort itself out over a long enough timeline,
20 years max. That's a 20 years max, because either they're going to take themselves out of the... I'm sorry. TF, I know I'm trying. This is
It's
YouTube.
just
I'm
No,
so
no, no.
sorry.
I
It's usually not a
It's a
suicide
20-year
note.
max problem because they're going to take themselves out of the mission, right? Through their own, like, I don't know what's wrong with me, like that, or it's going to be like, they don't reproduce, so they can't.
Right.
I mean, that's why people that don't have kids always go after those who do. They
Right,
go
and
after the kids,
and
but
that's
they
what's
don't
gonna
have children
happen.
themselves. Not one of them.
This culture war that's going on right now with all that, and you see the people. Why are they targeting the children? Why are they targeting other people's children and stuff like that? Because they can't have their own. And at some point, this whole movement that they are working to do and feeding all this stuff into your minds and into your children's minds and making you accept all these things that you don't have to accept. I believe everybody should be nice to other people as far as like high on the road, hold the door for anybody, be a good person overall, but you don't have to accept any of this clown world. But this whole thing with all these people, I mean, be gay if you want to be gay, I really don't care, but these people aren't reproducing. These trans people are not reproducing, these other people. So this whole movement is going to die out on its own because they're not teaching it to anybody else. They're not having their own kids to raise with their values or lack thereof, however you want to look at it. So it's going to go away. So they have to move that into the school systems. They have to move that into the public libraries. They have to move that in to keep their agenda going.
That is exactly what they have done here in New Zealand. There is now basically, it's trendy to be gay or bi or trans, and that's our school culture now.
Mm-hmm. They've made it.
It's
cool.
really, really creepy, man.
Did you know that over 1,000 schools?
They even had a questionnaire for young girls at Wanganui High School, and it said, "Don't you think that it's mean to flout your heterosexuality in front of other people? Don't you feel bad about that? And how do you know you're heterosexual unless you've tried a gay relationship?" So
right.
The next generation is going to be so messed up, and that's what might turn this transsexual issue into an intergenerational problem that ends all generations in the future if it's successful in its real goal. Because there won't be anybody who's out there reproducing. There'll just be people out there having weird porn sex orgies and things of that nature, as these trans men, as they're going into women's bathrooms, are actually starting to do, like taking in cameras.
It's just another layer of the World Economic Forum's bullshit where they're trying to destroy reproduction. They do not want more people. They're trying to lower. Yeah, they want masculinity out of our society, weaken our country. That's true here, and that's true everywhere. It's not just about masculinity, Mr. Duggar. It is about the fact that they are trying to remove they want to lower the world population. They told us what they were going to do. That's why they had to blow up the Georgia Guidestones. They had to. They had to blow them up to let everybody, because we knew. We had enough time to prepare for it. This is part of their religion. They tell us ahead of time what they're going to do. That's why it's not predictive programming. It is to tell us what they're going to do, because if we don't do anything about it to stop it, then that's on us. That is our fault. This is a religion that we're dealing with. We're not dealing with just a common conversation. We're dealing with a opposite and equally opposite religion where they have worshipped the same gods and the same people since the beginning of time. And they've kept it under secrets. And now for the first time ever, they're allowed to let their freak flag fly. And they've let their freak flag fly a little too high. And now we can all see exactly what they're doing. For example, look at the Alex Jones video when he talked about the cremation of care ceremony, where they took the effigy of a child and they caught it on fire after they cast all their cares on it, right? All their guilt, all their misdeeds. They cast it onto the effigy, hopefully, of a child, hopefully, and then burnt it in front of the owl god Moloch. That was called the cremation of care ceremony. That's the same thing that they're doing here with all this predictive programming nonsense. They are doing whatever they want to do, and if we don't stop it, it's on us. So we have to stand up and stop it.
This is what the situation is, compressed to one little action. Somebody's in your face, tapping you in the face, going, "What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it?" All right. And if you don't do anything, they can just keep doing anything they want to.
Vinny, can you do that one more time? I didn't see it very well. We got to get it. Stop hitting yourself, man.
Well, I've seen a big push too, especially on social media with, some of these news, they put out these stories that I think are just meant to piss people off. But, they're trying to shame like this younger generation and people for like, you are not like, okay, so you're a bigot now because you will not date and I don't understand how it works. Is it a trans woman or a trans man? Like which comes first? Like like I don't
Vinny,
understand.
show 'em how that
It
works.
depends.
Show 'em how
It
it works.
depends who's hornier at the time.
Hey, good night, Mr. Duggar. Thanks for joining us. This is our lawyer, Mr. Duggar. If anybody ever needs a great
Our
legal
lawyer's
help,
quitting. It must be pretty bad.
yes, he is. Yeah, he is a good YouTube lawyer. Thank you, Mr. Duggar Fishing, very much. You ever see Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Charlie specializes in bird law? Well, Mr. Duggar specializes in YouTube law. So,
Man, how can I get my channels back, man? I lost my life's work when that stuff went
It's
down.
okay. You know that when people break up with you because they come to your house and realize you've got a murder board, that you might have problems at home.
yeah, let me just say thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming in, Belt Loop,
Hoorah.
Mr. Duggar, Bulldog JC. Who else? We see Jack Moreno. Thanks a lot for being here, man. P Digits, as always. Thanks.
He did.
Love P Digits. Bulldog JC. We have.
He
really
always
cool
comes in saying
chat.
Finkel is Einhorn and Einhorn is Finkel, and I cannot argue with him anymore.
And I love this guy's name, House of Bad Influence. I think that's one of the coolest names. Drewski. Ash in America, thanks for being here. All you guys, SO, everybody, thanks a lot for joining in. We really
Ash has 2 shows that go on Rumble. She's on Conservative Daily, and she's also on Badlands Media. She does This Is Why We Vote. She also does a show. She's got like so many things I can't even keep track of it all. Ash, feel free to post links in the nest if you'd like. There's no nest here. That was a joke. Never mind.
the nest.
I'm not funny. We got professional comedians here, and I'm just like telling my dumb jokes. Should I pull out my tiny violin? Because I will do it.
Yes.
Can I tell a story? So one of the ways in which I met Vinny was through a mutual friend called James Robert Wright, who
I was going to ask you that. Thank you.
He wrote a book called Freemasonry, a Ritual of Occult Abuses. And he got kind of held up in the Frank Craley courthouse. He was in jail there, and I may or may not have smuggled him out of there across state lines. But I realized that when I was going to 133 Riverfront Avenue, the Frank Craley courthouse building, his court case was all about he may or may not have went to his mom's house and taken the will that showed he was owed millions of dollars from his garbage Illuminati controller family. May or may not have stolen the will, proving with names on it like Rockefeller changed to Brown. May or may not have stolen the will from his mom's house. But
changed to Brown, like that is wow. Yeah. Does the black community know about this? Because they're going to be pissed.
Well, look at Brown University, so they're just hiding behind brown people and saying that we're not really the creepy fetal alcohol syndrome offspring of oligarchs, but they are. I was looking at when I was researching his court case, I went on this PI website and I could like type in names of his family members because he would download things to me on the police phone, and I would look up his family members.
You gotta rewind. What's a police phone?
He would call from the jailhouse. So I had to put money on his books. I had to put money on the books for the phone to operate, and he would download family members' name. I would write them down. Slow down.
Real daddy.
Yeah. So I would slow down. So then I would type in these people. Greg Brown is his like uncle. He's had 30 DUIs. Like, how do you not have your license taken after the 29th, Paul Pelosi? But anyway, so that's who we're fighting against. And he told me, I remember what's flashing in my head is the most interesting story he told me was that the Dallas Scottish Rite that he used to work for, he told me a series of things. Number one, the Zapruder film lived in the Dallas Scottish Rite building 7 years before the public saw it on the Dick Cavett show. It was literally the Scottish Rite's personal snuff video before it was on the Dick Cavett show 7 years later. Number one. Number two, there's a tunnel from under the Dallas Scottish Rite building to the Frank Craley courthouse at 133 Riverfront. So back in the day when there wasn't computers, if a creepy weirdo Satanist piece of garbage Didn't like a court case going against him. He would go under the ground, go in the back, find the book, and change the result of the court case. So when I was in Dealey Plaza, there's like a Stonehenge or a Georgia Guidestone of every lie of the Warren Commission report written in stone. It was one person, Lee Harvey Oswald, from the book depository. Not true. It was
allegedly.
Yeah, it was not the Masons. Not true. Like every single lie of the. So when they were stonewalling him, and it's like let's have the trial. I showed up. I drove from Austin to Dallas when I first moved here 6 times or 7 times. It was always like, and they're like, "Oh, you're here to support him." Then they would drag him out. He would walk underground. They would put him there. Only when I would show up, because again, the judges are pieces of garbage. They only react to the public opinion. That is why it's so important for you to go to Vinny Eastwood's trials physically. They don't care whether or not he did or did not steal the will that owed him money. They didn't care. What they cared was, we're in this club, he's on that club. He defected from the order, we're in the order. That's all they cared about. I mean, I'm sort of like this with my friends. If I'm in a fist fight and someone's fighting my friend, I don't necessarily know the argument. I'm going to defend my friend. So I understand that to a certain degree, loyalties. But also, you know, there's this whistleblower called Jessie Showbazar or something like Showbazar, and she was like a high level in the system.
Her last name is Showbazar.
It's something like that. Showbazar.
What is she, like Anthony Weiner? They tell you what they're doing now before they do it?
So she just had this interesting thing where she said 95% of the people in the system hate it, but they're all being blackmailed. That's why Adam Schiff, every time you see him, he's geeked out on cocaine. He hates his life. Every morning. Well, here's Adam Schiff's morning. Here's what he does. He duct tapes a dildo between his tits. He starts filleting it. He takes that out of his mouth. He puts a revolver in his mouth. He sucks that off. Then he goes in his closet and he touches the dress from the Shakespeare play where he could be himself. And he's like, "Oh, I could have been an actor. Instead, I'm a swamp monster." He does a line of cocaine. He puts lipstick on his face. Then he puts makeup on. And he's like,
he put lipstick on his dick too.
I hate myself. I hate myself. And then he like kisses the mirror. And then like he takes a shower. He puts a business suit on and he walks right into Congress. That is who's ruling us. He's going through the motions. He doesn't even love Satan anymore. He's like at a Masonic lodge. He's drinking blood out of a goblet. Another kid gets decapitated. He doesn't even like.
You just described J. Edgar Hoover.
Yeah,
that's J. Edgar Hoover.
It's all of them. It's all of them. And you know, in certain
Bill Clinton in his photo, or excuse me, his painting that they had up at Epstein's townhouse, right? Wearing Monica Lewinsky's dress. They have to.
There's this like club of Mithras where that Bloomberg is the part of, that Chris Knowles told me about, where, you know, there's always the ascended master and then the bride, you know what I mean? So
P. Digis says, "I just shower and brush my teeth."
Good for you, P. Digis. Good for you, my friend. That's why we love you. That's why we love you.
Adam Schiff
somebody's got to, you know.
Adam Schiff has a more of a routine.
Can't be child sacrifice all the time.
Yeah, he's got, because of all the trauma, all the programming is constantly wiring. So, you know, anyway.
Let me give a special shout out there to my buddy Devil Dog, though, in the comments. Today is his birthday, and I hope you had a wonderful birthday, Devil Dog.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, my friend.
Your day's a joke.
Well, I'd like to sing you happy birthday. I hope it was the best day of your life for another year. I hope you will remember the days when you were young and free and nothing stood in your way. Hey!
Hey!
There we go. That's a happy birthday from New Zealand. Is that your New Zealand?
That's all of the world, Jack. Enjoy.
Man, that's awesome, dude. Happy. Is that the song New Zealanders sing?
No. It's just the song I sang.
Okay.
It sounds a lot like
we came up with it one night.
I got you.
Yeah,
I like
exactly. I mean, we're in the studio right now trying to record it and actually get a proper studio version, but it's been around for about 12 years.
Yeah.
I
like it.
I've got a favorite artist that does a song. Sorry, TF, I'm going to say a naughty word. But one of my favorite songs is a guy from New Zealand. It might be Australia, actually. My bad. I'm sorry, but you guys are really close to each other. It's the other side of the world. Your toilets don't even flush the right direction.
Yeah, I
So I'm
mean,
just gonna lump
we
you guys
get
in there.
Canadians and we get
Gonna
Canadians
lump
and
y'all,
Americans
dude,
mixed up
fuck
all the
that.
time.
No,
you know?
no. There's an
I love
international
it. Shots
sorry
fired.
jar.
Shots
We could
fired.
fund everything. We just make Canadians put $1 on a jar every time they said sorry. We could
This is
fund
like
anything you want.
This is like Mexicans and Guatemalans
International
now.
sorry
I
jar.
know.
But damn it, now I forgot the name of the damn song. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping. No, it's called the world's greatest cunt. And it's fantastic. Shout out to the guy that made that song. I don't know who he is or what he's up to, but it's one of my favorite songs. The world's greatest cunt. You guys can Google that on YouTube.
It sounds wonderful.
Oh, it's fantastic. A fantastic song. Yeah, so we got a lot of people that are local. In our last hour, we try to open up the show. Just a heads up to anybody that wants to come in and speak. It is 12:30, so we're 30 minutes away from that, just to let you guys know. We have not heard from our friend Klaus Schwab Jr. yet. I don't know if he's going to show up or not. He might be busy.
No,
But
he's not here today.
He's not here today. Oh,
No. And frankly, that's good for everybody because my mental health goes out the fucking window when he's around.
Every time you channel the World Economic Forum, I know. I mean, I'm sure that Tulsi Gabbard understands. What I wanted to ask you though, Eric, was we had someone on the show come in a couple weeks ago who went through the Zapruder film like back and forth, and his name is Colby. He does Conspiracy Playtime. If you haven't been on his show, you should put that on your list. Conspiracy Playtime with Colby.
Yeah, he was super interesting. He was
super interesting.
Super
but he told
nice
us a theory that it was Jackie that was the one who shot JFK. And if you look at the Zapruder film, you can see her throwing a gun behind the seat. What do you think about that?
Throwing something behind the seat. I mean,
something
it was convincing. It was some footage I'd never seen, which was very interesting.
Island crab. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the best one on it was Rich Man's Trick. It was 7 different shooters in the sewers, under the bridge, and on the grassy knoll, and that kind of thing, all getting in a crossfire in a kill box. And they were all out of there and picked up, and the police basically blocked all the exits for everybody else except the freaking gunman to get away. And one of the gunmen was allegedly helped by George H.W. Bush.
100%.
President, you know.
Yeah, well, there's a YouTube documentary. Actually, remind me later, Eric, to send you my playlist of like stuff that I put together that's just conspiracy videos. Because I've got like over 1,500 videos of just random crazy stuff that people have done documentaries on. It's a very important list. I'll send it to you and you can send it to Vinny or through email. But yeah, there's one on there that talks all about how George Bush totally did it. And about, I mean, when think about it like this. I mean, when you think about Reagan being president, right? And Reagan was talking about UFOs and some other stuff. So the UFO community gets all up in arms about this. But at the end of the day, like he was told through a bullet, you can't talk anymore. And by the way, here's your new vice president.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I don't think that John F. Kennedy liked LBJ at all, but
nobody liked LBJ.
You need a 33rd degree.
LBJ was that like a Mexican hooker?
No, it was Lyndon. Nice. Yeah, Lyndon B. Johnson. And no, he wasn't a Mexican hooker, but he does prove he used to call his dick jumbo, and he'd pull it out at all times, like inappropriate. And he would talk with like other Secretary of States, like President. Lyndon B. Johnson. He'd pull out his dick and like in front of random people. He would talk on like phone conversations with like other Secretary of States and like other people from other country about how big his dick is and how he can't get pants to fit him. And my favorite part is the fact that at some point during his presidency, a president named Dong had to make a conversation with a president named Johnson because he was in conversation with Mao Zedong. Dong and Johnson had a phone call at some point.
Well, what I know about that day is that, when the new president swears in on the Bible, there has to be a 33rd degree there. And so that's why LBJ was installed as JFK's
that was a crazy swearing-in ceremony.
And then, 3 people earned their 33rd for the murder. And that was Allen Dulles and Herbert Walker Bush. And maybe LBJ was there to be the MC of that. But they got a merit badge of the killing of the king ritual that goes all the way back to Julius Caesar for the murder. They earned a merit badge for the murder.
I love you.
Love you too.
You're the only
Frantic
person
Missy.
I've ever heard in my life ever to bring up the killing of the king ritual.
Well, I had James Robert Wright in my life for a very long period of time, and he would just download to me shit. Like he worked there. One of the things he said is that the 31st degree of the Scottish Rite, or the 30th, they drag out all the bodies in the catacombs, and like Albert Pike's bloated corpse and this and that corpse, because they worship.
Geronimo.
They worship death. Yeah, Geronimo for the skull and bones. They worship death, right? And so
oh my gosh, I was just thinking about Geronimo today. Now I know why.
Hold your nose.
So
I'm thinking about the scene in what was it, Hot Shots Part 2, where they all jump out of the plane going Geronimo, and then Geronimo comes up and he jumps out and he goes me.
It's Hot Shots Part Do, as in do.
Oh, yeah.
Part Do.
Part Do.
But so James was the keymaster of the building of the Dallas Scottish Rite. He would go.
Who's the gatekeeper?
Gatekeeper.
Oh, the gatekeeper.
You should have seen that one.
I lost my keys. Well, you're the keymaster there. Ghostbusters, whatever his name is. Rick
Goes
Moranis.
with the Ghost man.
But that's exactly what it is, and that's a very
Who goes
important.
there?
I hate it when aliens pop out of my mouth.
Are we still talking over Eric's story?
Yeah, I think you guys are.
Sorry, Eric. We're the worst.
So he would schedule. Okay, the Shriners are in this ritual room. That he described one ritual room as having 72 chandeliers. Each of the chandeliers of the York Rite is associated with one of the 72 spirits of the Akashic records. And during the rituals, these like genies start emanating from the chandeliers. The other thing he told me on the 5th floor was there was this gem box that you would open it up and do a ritual, and like a jinn spirit would come out of it. There was also a lot of drugs associated with these people, so I don't know what's true or what's false. Yeah. There was also a lot of stagecraft associated with these people, meaning their curtains had buttons. You would press a button, the curtain would open and close. There would be smoke and mirrors associated with this. So I don't know what is drugs. I don't know what is smoke and mirrors. I don't know what is stagecraft, and I don't know what is actual ritual where they actually raise the demons themselves. You know,
I have questions.
Sometimes smoke and mirrors. Well, sometimes smoke and mirrors and drugs do go hand in hand.
Sure.
Yeah.
What was your question?
You said that there was the gin, and I'm like, well, which one? Will Smith? Because 100%, like, if anybody deserved to be involved with this, it's definitely Will Smith. And then you said something about Jim. I'm like, and the holograms? Like, what happened in the 80s? And then you talked about the curtain ritual, and I'm like, oh, you mean the Wizard of Oz? What's behind the curtain, right? So again, just to show you, there's all these pop culture things that are also tied into these ceremonial rituals.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's symbolism. That's how, and they're such passive aggressive cucks that they think that doing these rituals or doing that gives them a complicit consent, like we were talking about before. If I say, Vinny Eastwood, I'm going to fuck your wife, try and stop me, but I'm going to fuck her. And if you don't do anything to stop me, you're a bitch, and it's good karma for me because you didn't stop me. That's everything. So that is their religion. That's the religion of being passive aggressive, is Freemasonry.
Well, I talk about this all the time. I talk about how they tell you what they're going to do, and because we don't do anything about it, then it's our fault, not theirs. That casts off the guilt. Like, people are like, how can they do such awful things? I'm like, because we let them.
Yeah. I saw this video of this toxic lady. She was filming herself saying, my husband said that I can't get 3 meals of DoorDash, like 3 meals a day of DoorDash. She said I have a spending problem. I don't have a spending problem. You have an earning problem. So what I did is I took his credit card and I bought a vacation for myself and my little boy Jack here. So she's stroking the hair of a 3-year-old going, because I had your baby, I can steal your money. And she filmed herself saying that speech for TikTok, for the gram, for clout.
That's when you go out. That's when you go out for milk and never come back.
Yeah, or cigarettes. because that story eventually is not going to be like PC. My father left for cigarettes and isn't coming back. You can't even tell that on YouTube these days, right?
Yeah, the whole Freemason thing. the whole Freemason thing has always got me. It's a very interesting topic to go back, and it always makes me laugh with like the old Monty Python skit. I mean, like even they were onto it back then. I wouldn't be a Freemason for all the money in the world. You blackballing bastards with your silly handshakes and secret signs. It's interesting to research and look into, but yeah, definitely not anything I'd want to join.
I mean, I hate to tell you as this, but Jesus was a carpenter apparently. So,
sorry. The other thing he told me was about the Dallas Scottish Rite that someone interrupted me. I forget who, but I'm not blaming anybody. But in the body, like their bodies in the building, and it's for the 31st degree. But when he was like the 20th degree of the Scottish Rite, he was like, so you guys need the bodies tonight or what? Because he was trying to find the key, and they're like, no, we don't. There's no bodies, and he's like, but I helped you drag the bodies. And they're like, no, you didn't. And he's like, but I helped. So they lied to him. After he went through the 31st, he's like, oh, yeah, we need the bodies anyway because we're doing the ritual in this room. So they lied to his face until he did the ritual. And then he's inside the club. And then they can speak freely to his face. But until then, he lied to his face. And they think that they're karmically allowed to do that because he hasn't got to that stage in live action role playing of D&D with creepy weirdo drug addict pieces of shit. Oh, I mean Freemasons.
Yeah, and that's how you slam your door into their foot.
Yeah, I didn't know I was in a gay relationship until I get down there and they go, "Oh, your domestic partner." What? I'm sorry. Say I beat him up. Say I beat him up. Change that part of the paperwork.
Show me on the door where you just touched
beat him off. You beat him off. No. Oh.
Fix that typo.
I still maintain he beat himself up.
Fix that typo.
You finally get to jail, and they're like, "What are you in for?" You're like, "Nah, damn it."
James Wright also told me that he met Prince Harry from this, and he also told me that when Prince Harry left the royal family, that he was killed. And replaced.
Have you heard my whole theory about Prince Harry and about how Prince Harry is not? Thank you, Jack. Did I tell you my theory about how Prince Harry isn't the real Prince Harry? About how he switched places with a guy named James Francis Alexander, and there's all these articles. And James Francis Alexander actually wrote a book that sold over 50,000 copies in a week. By the way, Anthony Bourdain's like posthumous recipe book, day it came out, which people were like waiting for 2 years. Day it came out, 10,000 in a week. This book sold 50,000 copies. They bought every single copy. James Francis Alexander. He turned up dead in a Dublin flop house, right? Had 33 bullets in his body with silencer wounds, right? There's pictures of him talking to Prince Charles at the time, and how like he was like, "You're a little shit," and like there's all this stuff. James Francis Alexander, okay. And he swears that he switched places with his cousin, who was the Duke of Marlborough's son, and that they're not the same, like that he's not the real Prince Harry, that they switched them. And he wrote a book about it and everything, right? The book's been wiped. You cannot find a copy of it. The only reason I even have a copy of the police report from the Dublin police, from the Gardaí or whatever, is because I called over there and like gave them a bunch of hell and like begged for it, and they gave me a copy of the police report for it. So I got an original copy of the police report. But yeah, supposedly like they switched them to hide the fact that he knew more about Diana's death, and they were trying to cover it up. So the real Prince Harry is not the real Prince Harry, and that's one of the reasons they had to write that stupid book about being the spare, because it's not him.
It's blood in, blood out. You think
that's why he's not allowed to have titles.
You think that you can just go, oh, you know what? I don't want to be a British royal anymore. Look at what's going on with Prince Andrew.
They're not allowed to have titles.
Look at what's going on with Prince Andrew. I mean, he was caught with pedophilia, and they're giving him a slap on the wrist, and they're pretending he's not allowed in the castle anymore. But he's playing the game. He's playing the game. Harry decided to not play the game anymore after he found out they killed his mom because she tried to marry a Muslim.
If he's the real Prince Harry, James Francis Alexander swears he is, or swore he was. He's dead now. They killed him. So.
Now, speaking of like switching places, have you seen those pictures of, who is it? What is his name? John Fetterman?
Oh, Fetter memes. We're calling them Fetter memes.
Yeah, Fetter memes. I mean, that guy looks nothing like the other guy, but the funny thing was somebody went on Twitter and did like the troll where they put the John Fetterman or whatever the hell his name is, went on to the one of those shows, but they put a picture of Stone Cold Steve Austin on there.
Yeah.
Did you see that? That was hilarious. And the people that were like taking it seriously and like calling him out, it was hilarious.
Do you remember how they used to have those things with the magnets where you put the beard on the face? Yeah. I saw someone put one of those up saying, John Fetterman, we found him. It's not just John Fetterman. Like they said that George Soros was kidnapped. Did you hear about that, Eric?
I don't know about that.
There was this whole big story about how George Soros had disappeared. And like, well, he's got no depth perception because he's blind in one eye. So,
yeah. Ben Fulford told me he was dead, but they kind of trot out a looky-likey.
Yeah, you gotta love those looky-likeys. My favorite is where you got a picture of Hillary. I have it on my phone actually, where Hillary Clinton is shaking hands with her body double, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that after you got your colostomy bag, you had someone to go to funerals for you. Because if you look at like all the funerals, what was it? John McCain and also Poppy Bush. That is definitely not Hillary Clinton at those funerals. And then there was the envelopes thing.
Yeah, that was like with what's that guy's name? The Ukrainian guy. Zelensky. When they had that his
I love
body
that you
double.
can't remember his name. That's awesome.
I'm happy. I've tried to block it out of my mind, but where his body double was like walking right behind him, and they caught it and they actually put it on the news. And here he comes walking up, and then here comes this other guy that looks exactly like him, dressed the same, walking right behind him. It was like, all right.
Well, Eric, you've been doing stand up for how long now? Like
21 years.
Oh wow!
I thought it was 21 years. That is
so do you have a bit that is like your favorite bit for stand up or something?
Yeah, I guess I have a special on YouTube called Conspiracies and Dick Jokes, and the first joke on it is probably one of my favorite ever. But I have a joke now that I cannot say because I'm kind of afraid it'll get stolen. But I have the first joke I say on Conspiracies and Dick Jokes. I started doing stand up in New Orleans, and I couldn't even follow this joke, so I had to like always close on it. But it's my dad's got a big dick and he pocket dials me all the time. Do you ever get a 12-minute voicemail from your dad that just sounds like this? It's like, I don't know how this is happening. His iPhone has a password, and somehow his dick presses it and then scrolls and then calls me. I don't know how this is happening. I was in a subway station in Montreal. All of a sudden, the payphone starts ringing. I love a mystery. I pick up the phone. They say, Monsieur, you have a collect call from... I'm like, okay. Patch him through. You know, it's always the same conversation. It's always the same conversation, but you get homesick sometimes. You get homesick. I guess he's playing racquetball at a YMCA or something. It's jiggling around. I don't know.
Bravo, sir.
I would like to invite our chat to give Eric some amazing one-liners that are equally offensive. Just know that you lose all rights if you give them one-liners.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I started
Vinny,
with
do you tell jokes? No?
Oh, yeah. Often. I think, I don't know. How many freaking jokes have I got? I've got
That's a good one.
You know, you know when you thousands of jokes and then somebody asks you to tell them the jokes and all of a sudden your freaking mind goes blank.
As a comedian, yes, I totally understand. Eric, is your favorite day of the week when people go, hey, you're a comic, tell me a joke?
Yeah.
Vinny's got one. He's loaded.
So my mate Barack, we were down at his place in Pihart on the west coast of Auckland here. Lots of mosquitoes, like just crazy. But we had one of those things on the inside that puts out some kind of a pulse or whatever that keeps the mosquitoes away. It worked beautifully, except for this one mosquito. And he's just flying around inside the house, pissing us off. And so Barack's like, nah, I'm gonna lure this guy in. He puts his arm out, and mosquito comes over to him. And Barack's waiting for him to bite him so he can slap him. And the mosquito's like, I'm like, what is my blood not good enough for you or something? Mosquito's like, That's not good enough.
That's a good joke.
And what was it, guys? And on the mosquito thing, one more.
It's hard being Black and gifted.
The guys there.
Knock, knock, knock.
Yeah. Who's there?
Go fuck yourself.
No. My favorite is, so Helen Keller walks into a bar. No, that's the end of the joke. That's it. That's the beginning of the joke.
Right? She walks into a bar. If Helen Keller falls in the woods and there's nobody around, does she make a sound?
No one cares.
Yeah.
Although my latest favorite joke is when people ask, like anybody brings up Nancy Pelosi, I'm like, is it too late to abort Nancy Pelosi? Or is she just going to draw on her eyebrows like she's surprised? Oh, never mind. I guess I'm not funny.
There's this one guy who said, knock, knock. And I go, who's there? He goes, Ranip. And I go, Ranip who?
That's what happens.
Oh, geez. We'll be playing here all night, folks.
Yeah, dude, try the veal. It's definitely not baby cows.
Fucking dodging cabbage and tomatoes over here.
Right. I did watch the Blues Brothers tonight before I did this show, so I'm ready to get bottles thrown at me through a fence.
We play both kinds of music, country and
western.
Rolling, rolling, rolling.
I didn't realize that Clint Eastwood was in Rawhide, the TV show.
Oh, yeah.
Dude. Well, I mean, his last name is Eastwood. He was a mayor. He does talk to chairs. Anything is possible. He's the mayor of Carmel, California.
I like this.
And then it was too late.
So I got a joke about marriage laws that I have in one of my specials where I think I closed my special called Fart Porn in Beer Halls. I closed out with
what a
this.
great name for a special.
I did it at the Cold Town Theater here in Austin, this bit. And it's, in California, if you're married 5 years, and then you get it, and then you walk in, your wife's cheating on you just in the living room, just right, you go, hey, honey, you're cheating on me. And then they're like, take me to court. You go to court and they're like, I have photographs of my wife cheating on me. And they say, oh, that's your personal business, half. In Texas, if you walk home and you see your wife in a marital bed, you can just shoot everybody dead. And they go, crime of passion. You're a passionate man. They get pissed if you don't shoot your wife. If you're like, Your Honor, I was not emotionally available. I didn't go to her practices for her rugby club. They would say, oh, your emotions. What in the fuck is that?
I wouldn't pay for our daughter to be in a beauty pageant for 4-year-olds. I wouldn't buy a $400,000 dress. Right?
They get mad if you don't shoot your wife. But yeah, and you could get some lawyer to try to defend your ex-wife. He'll fly in from New York City. He's not going to.
You're going to pay for that lawyer anyway, so
they'll be like, Your Honor, I found semen, the husband's semen, in both the wife and the adultering man's rectum. We found that post-mortem. The judge is going to be like, yeah, I said it's a crime of passion. He was a passionate man. Listen, when the devil gets in your ex-wife and he pulls some voodoo trick to get her to do adultery, you gotta sodomize Satan at his own game. I can't explain to you metaphysics from the bench, but the laws are on the books for the raisins. Anyway. That's why I live in town. I'm not getting married in California. I'll tell you this.
This is why I won't eat cream corn.
That's my itchy barrier to my fun palace. I got hemorrhoids, but anyway, that's for another topic.
As a woman, I'm scared. I'm scarified that there might be, some sort of bots in the cream corn that make you crazy and shoot your husband. I'm not married yet, but one day I'm worried it might just kick in. So I don't eat cream corn.
You never know what you're going to get here, folks. You never know. That's why you always have to make sure you tune in.
I found out that when Madonna was married to Guy Ritchie, that it was 5 years, and then he starts boom, boom, boom in the living room in the asshole, and then she's like, "I'm going to divorce you," and he's like, "Yeah, go for it." And then at court, they're like, "Guy Ritchie, can you take your penis out of our stenographer? We're trying to cut you a check for $97 million. That's what happened in California. The reason why there's homeless in California is you can cheat on somebody and then rob them. That's why there's.
I thought it was because they had the Supreme store there. I just assumed.
Yeah, that's a contributing factor. But when the base of the family, the laws are to enable predatory people, then you have homelessness everywhere. When there's a base of the laws are predatory, you can cheat on someone and rob them. Yeah, good luck having a fucking family when the person's like, I'm sick of your bullshit. I just want the house. Good luck. Good fucking luck.
That's why I only date very rich men. Not marry, date. It's a bad joke. Anyway. Yeah. So,
okay.
how's your boxing career going, Eric? Do you get in the ring yourself, or you just do paperwork?
I spar sometimes. No, I'm a trainer. I'm the janitor at Richard Lord's boxing gym, and I'm like the third string mitt guy. But we went to San Antonio Golden Gloves. There was 11 titles up for grabs. Eight gyms were fighting for 11 titles, and we took home 6.
TF, whenever he gets back from going to the bathroom in the backyard, there he is. TF actually was a Golden Gloves boxer.
No, I didn't box Golden Gloves, but I did do like.
That's what you told the room the other night. Where you lying?
I know. Well, I mean, sometimes people do exaggerate. I never went Golden Gloves, but I did do like youth boxing and did the like Georgia games and did the things like that. It was funny too because my mom was always like, she wouldn't let me play football, but from the time I was 6 years old, she put me in boxing. But she was like, football's too dangerous. And I was like, well, damn it. I'm getting my ass kicked every weekend.
No, and it's great. I watch people like totally transform there. I think, if some of the sparring gets a little rough, I don't really like that, but I spar sometimes on Saturdays, but I'm just the trainer. It's funny because we had our heavyweight is called Darius Robinson, and he is so terrifying. The way it was set up was a bracket. Friday, you win Friday, you fight Saturday. You win Saturday, you fight Sunday, and you're crowned the champion. Well, right. Darius Robinson is so fucking terrifying that Friday he weighed in, and his opponent's like, fuck that, I'm not fighting this guy. He's a fucking monster. So he bailed, right? So he fought Saturday. Round 2 starts. Bang, knocks the guy out cold. Darius does. He almost falls out the ring. The ref had to hold him so he wouldn't fall on the judge's table, literally. So then Classy. He was supposed to fight Toxie Moore on Sunday. Well, Mr. Moore, all of a sudden his turtle was sick and he had a toothache and he had to pick up a truck in Katy, Texas, and so he wasn't available. He weighed in and then he got cold feet. And then he showed up to the event though. And he showed up in like sunglasses, a big cowboy hat, a big belt buckle, like a fake mustache. And then we're like, wait a minute, that
like Dan Crenshaw?
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute, that's him. That's him. Why doesn't he compete today?
So basically it's Dan Crenshaw. Okay, gotcha.
I'll never forget one of my younger brothers, he made it to the finals in the Georgia games one year. And he was pretty good. And so we were sitting there, and I'd always done like the coaching with him, helping him learn. He was quite a bit younger than me at that point. And I'll never forget, he got in there with this kid that was like, and they were like 15 years old, something like this. But this guy's name, he was Umbro Brown. And my brother had to get in there with this guy that was about 6 inches taller than him, had about,
Sure, it wasn't Umbro Rockefeller, and they just
it was Umbro Brown, because we still tease him to this day. That black kid whipped the ever living shit out of my brother. He never went down. I give it to my brother there. He never went down, but it was great to watch.
I did jujitsu for a while, but they kept, because I'm like a tiny person. I'm like 5'1", which is why I'm able to broadcast from a closet right now. Which is like 6'5", 4 feet. I'm a little person, so like I've got not a little person. I'm 5'1" and some change, not a little person. But I did jujitsu for a while, but they kept pairing me with like teenage boys because I was so small, and like that. No, there were no girls like that were taking lessons, so I had to quit because I kept getting boners, and I was like, this is uncomfortable. Like teenage boys getting boners Well, I'm like, I'm 32. This is not gonna work.
I came here to get
So I had
knocked
to
out,
quit.
not knocked up.
Yeah, I had to quit. Eric, what do you think about that? Do people get boners when they're boxing like randomly? Sorry, uncomfortable question, but I'm curious.
Do they get boners when they're boxing?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I got a boner.
It was just me. It is me.
No, here's a better question. Do they have wet dreams after they get knocked out?
I got a boner as a coach because our fucking biggest rival down there was Aftermath Boxing Club. They were really tough, and I couldn't find Aftermath Boxing Club on Google Maps in San Antonio. But when I looked up Aftermath LLC, what came up was they clean up crime scenes after a murder-suicide. There's like, I never did mind the little things. You know, they clean up the blood from the crime scene. And while we were fighting them, I was like, God damn, these guys have fucking ice in their veins. Like, they're not scared. All the other fighters were like scared, you know, they were not. But this one guy from Aftermath, he had this move where he would go bang, bang, and then overhand. So he'd go 1-2 overhand right. And he was really tall and really rangy. But as a coach, Gilbert Reyes had knocked his opponent out Friday, knocked his opponent out Saturday, and he was going against this guy from Aftermath. And so as a coach, I got a real big boner when I kind of had this good call where I said, hey, he's only dangerous after the 1-2 overhand. So just watch for that. And Gilbert slipped the fucking overhand, body uppercut, knocked him out, and I almost came my fucking pants when I saw that. So
that's like the perfect setup for the uppercut right there.
Yeah, boom.
Hey, I'm going ahead and drop this link in here because sometimes nobody joins.
Been like
sometimes,
2 hours, that flew, didn't it?
Right, I know it's flown by. So here is the link. If anybody has any questions for anybody on the panel,
I don't know what time it is your time, but it's 1 a.m. our time, which means we started at 11.
It means it's like 5. It means it's like 5 in the afternoon in New Zealand. So
yeah,
it is 5. Yeah,
I know it's almost dinner time.
Midnight in Texas.
Yeah, it's midnight in Texas. So you want to go for like another 15 minutes and then call it?
Yeah. So we'll sit here and just let I drop the link if anybody has a question or anything like that for anybody on the panel. You are more than welcome to jump in, and we'll bring you on one at a time for a minute. Sometimes people come on, sometimes people don't. Either way, we'll sit here and keep bullshitting for a few more minutes, and if anybody pops in, they do. There is the link right there. Thanks. I love. Eric, let me ask you this. Obviously a boxing fan. What do you think is boxing has come to a new low? Like I've grown up since I was a little kid, and have watched, every heavyweight fight, every light heavyweight, like for years and years and years. I love boxing, but it's kind of in a slump right now. What do you think about that? I mean, do you agree or no? Like with professional level?
Well, I think there's corrupt commissioners. I was telling this to Vinny when he did Highway Diary, my podcast, that there's a corrupt commissioner right now. He took over USA Boxing, the president of USA Boxing here. For 30 years in Texas, we had one guy, and he was perfect, and he never fucked up. This new guy comes in year 1 from Corpus Christi, and he's like, you're going to play my reindeer games. Well, so here's what happened. So we had this other event that we wanted them to sanction, and we gave him a check. We would go, how much is it for the commission to sanction? He said $3,400. We gave him a check for $3,400, and then his secretary called. She said, we didn't get the money. We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? She goes, we didn't get the $1,500. And we're like, we gave you 34. You owe us 19. You overcharge us 19. He overcharged us. And he didn't even break off $1,500 for his own fucking organization. He pocketed the grip. Gilbert, after he knocked out Aftermath Boxing Club's rival, he surreptitiously filmed the VP of USA Boxing. And I'm saying very specific things. And you should be scared. You're going to go to jail, you fucking cunt. Anyway, Gilbert fucking filmed the VP saying,
hey guys, hold on a second. I just have to step up for a second. I'll be right back.
So the VP said, you're not the only person he did this to. He did this to this club. He did this to this club. He did this, but you all gave him cash and money orders and whatever. You actually gave him a check, so maybe you can get him. And Gilbert, after knocking 3 men unconscious in 3 days, filmed that.
Jeez.
So that's why, to answer your question, yes, it's corruption. It's small towny commissioners pocketing the money so that there's no fucking architecture of competitive architecture. We had the bracket, and then this guy tries to scam. He's clipping money off all these fledgling independent clubs.
And you think this is moving on to the professional level as well?
Absolutely. Look at a Golden Gloves in an Olympic years, Olympic seeded. That's the best guy. Right. That's the best guy, obviously. Because
you've seen. I mean, I know you do. Like you, obviously, being in boxing, you're watching the Gypsy King go out there and fight. You're watching the new fights that are going on, and I just see like a big disconnect between the athletes that we had 15 years ago in boxing to where we are now. And it's disheartening because I love the sport. I mean, I absolutely love this. Like, since Teddy Atlas is gone, you know what I mean? Like, I missed that generation of boxers, of ESPN with Teddy Atlas, tell the tape with Teddy Atlas. You know, he's going to go out there, and I just see it taking a bad turn, I guess. And it pisses me off because it's like my favorite sport to watch.
Yeah, it's a great sport. You know how you have a good boxing scene is to foster enthusiasm in beginners. That's how you have a good everything scene. And when you get to the top of being the law profession, for example, and you go to Auckland District Court and the fucking creepy weirdo is gaslighting, the law's on the books where you're like, hey, judge, the law on the book is peacefully protesting is okay. And they go, yeah, but I'm a lizard, so fuck you. They just sends them to 4 months in jail for peacefully protesting.
I'm really glad that I met Vinny because I can help promote his cause on all the other places that I speak. So that's good. Yeah.
So if you go to erichollerbach.com calendar, that's his information there. I'm very loyal to my friends, and when I see my friends are in trouble,
I know you agreed to do the show with me, and I appreciate that so much.
Hey, I'm one text away, Frantic Missy. You know. But anyway.
Yes, you're a good man. You're a good dude. And it's a shame because you've got your other personality, which is fantastic too. But you're trying to be serious tonight, so I appreciate and respect that. It is April Fool's Day though, so if you could just
You gotta be hungry. You gotta be hungry, Rock. You gotta be hungry, Rock.
We're gonna have to change the title of the show.
I am gonna change the title of the show. I definitely am. Which is fine. I mean, that's cool. This has been a great show. I've enjoyed the shit out of talking to you, Eric.
Thank you.
I hope honestly, I hope we get to do it again. You and I can be friends, man. You too, Absolutely. Vinny. I mean, it's been awesome, hearing from both you guys.
Yeah, Vinny, I'm gonna drag you. Make sure that you contact me. By the way, here's my Twitter information underneath my name to anybody who's looking. Also, you can DM me. My DMs are always open. And I also have an email, franticbooking@gmail.com. FRANTICBOOKING.
Are you saying they can slide into those DMs?
Yes, anybody can slide into my DMs if they have important information, or they have something to share, or someone they want to get on the show, or a guest, or anything, any information you want to share. I'm open to looking at. So.
Well, let me ask you this. We'll wrap this up here in a second. It's getting to be like 1:08 in the morning. Obviously, that's 12:08 and 5 or 4:08, whatever the hell the time is there in Kiwi world.
It's dinner,
let me ask you this, Vinny, if you don't mind, why don't you let people know? I think we've already said it, but from your own mouth and stuff like that, like let people know where they can find you at. Are you on Twitter or are you on?
Haven't gotten back on Twitter yet. They won't unban my thing, which was banned for breaching Twitter rules. They didn't say which rule or what post or anything like that. They just banned me for breaching their rules. That was the same with YouTube, and that was the same with Patreon as well. In fact, Patreon didn't even tell me that they banned me. I had to find that out on my own. And so it is hard to find me. My name is Vinny Eastwood, and if you go to vinnyeastwood.com, you will find me. All right, and apparently nobody's figured that out yet. You try to give people the information.
It's hard being gifted.
You have to give people a chance,
Well, a lot of people have deck envy, so they just
100%.
Yeah, it runs them off.
Yeah, I mean, just after this, I'm gonna go out and send you guys one of my dick pics.
Oh, 100%. Like if you don't, I'm gonna be just. I'll tell you what. You send me one of yours, and I'll send you one of mine because I just washed everything off today.
Yeah,
So,
is it hardwood or is it how's it finished? Is it all lacquered up?
It is the hardest of hardest wood ever.
You lacquered it all
No,
up.
it's stained.
My dick is so big and hard. Michelle Obama is jealous.
Oh man, even Michael's got deck envy. Jesus
I'm not supposed
Christ.
to say that, TF, because it's gonna get on me after this. But yeah,
It's fine. What about you, Eric? So I know we've kind of touched on stuff like that, but before we end, let's please tell everybody like everywhere they can find you. And
Sure,
I'd like to. I would like to know too because I'm going to sub you up everywhere you're at. So
yeah, my website is honestly my favorite place for people to contact me. EricHollerbach.com. Very clear. I'm the intern on Klaus Schwab Jr.'s Instagram. I'm a very low on the totem pole there, but I manage his social media sometimes. And and like he sponsors a page on my website. But I'm only doing that for the cash. I live in a small 2-bedroom apartment. I'm trying to make ends meet. So, don't judge me too harshly. So, yeah, EricHollerbach.com at
you can't have roommates now because we're having the last one. So,
I have a new one. He's a nice guy.
Okay.
now, are you on Twitter or YouTube? Or
Yeah,
Rumble or
I'm on YouTube. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on YouTube.
What's your YouTube? What's your YouTube, man? I'll find it. I'll find it and put it in the chat. Right
sure. It's just my name, Eric Hollerbach. And, the best thing, if you go on my website and you click the tab for stand-up specials, all my stand-up specials are linked to the YouTube. So it's very clear how to find. I've also done web series. I did a web series called Damien Shadows where I pretended to be a gay ghost hunter. It was really ridiculous. It's really, and this is a secret to Damien Shadows I've never revealed. I was channeling Leo Zagami. Fuck that guy. Fuck you, Leo Zagami.
Damien Shadows.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so let me make sure I'm on the right YouTube channel. So it says Aliens Worshipped, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's my production company.
Up right now. We're about to drop your link into the chat.
What do you think about our logo for our allegedly site up here to the right?
That.
Oh yeah.
TF made that.
The all mocking tongue.
All right, there you go. I just dropped in the chat Eric's YouTube channel, so please everybody make sure you do subscribe to him.
Eric, we have to have you back, man. Like you're awesome. And Vinny, you as well. I want to see what happens with your court case, and if there's anything we can do, I'll make sure to like put your information in the right people's hands if there's anything I can do to help.
Oh yeah, I need as many interviews. I need to do some press, press the flesh kind of thing. Otherwise, nobody will know how big my dick is.
100%. I have the same problem. I invite people over; they don't understand how big it's going to be. But it's
both you guys are absolutely wonderful co-hosts to have on here. So you are both welcome back anytime. I mean, we're going to keep growing this channel. It's a new channel. We just started it up.
Started in January.
Yeah, it's very new. So, but we're gaining a little bit of traction, and it's really fun to do.
Let's follow Vinny's case. I'm very invested in Vinny's case. Let's follow
Vinny. I would like you to come back and you can pop back in any evening when we're on here. Well, I guess it's afternoon for you, but pop in and give us an update.
Vinny, we got to get you into Twitter Spaces because there's a lot of people that are Kiwis in Twitter Spaces, and there's a lot of people from all over the world that talk about these kinds of topics. And you got to get a VPN and get back into Twitter, honey, because I know 1,000 people I can introduce you to immediately that will help you.
All I have to do is just,
But it's through Twitter, so more ornaments.
Yeah. All I have to do is just create a new account and I'm back and, that kind of thing. If
well, then do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The best time to do something is yesterday.
It's now.
Jump on there.
I'll let my
one
partner
big
know.
dick to another.
Yeah. I'll let my partner know about that,
Just do it.
I'll jump right on it.
And I beat up my ex-roommate. I didn't beat him off, just for the record. Even though the
100%.
poor
to
paper.
Clarify this one more time.
I spoke to them the day after. I'm the original witness, other than themselves, to the original crime, and I concur 1,000%. I am the First
He's
person to talk about
driving this point home. Driving this point home. It
I
was
swear,
definitely-
I got a soundbite justice of the peace and everything.
how much justice
That's
of
like
the peace
that's like
sounds
saying
like
that's like saying I God damn it, I hate when I take roofies. They always make my ass hurt in the morning. You know.
that's a Cosby sweater.
That's
a side of-
Cosby sweater.
The side effect of roofies. Yeah.
What are you, Snow
Anal
White?
seepage. Anal seepage is a side effect of roofinols. So
Where's Felicia Rashad when you need her?
okay, guys.
Yeah, those
Vinny-
roofies can be belligerent.
Vinny and Eric, man, I appreciate the hell out of you guys coming on here. Do make sure Traveling Fools, you can find us on YouTube, on a main channel, YouTube, Twitter, blah blah blah, all the shit. It's Traveling Fools.
You guys can always find me on Twitter. Literally,
there,
it's in
yes.
my profile
Frantic
for a
Missy.
reason.
At Frantic Missy. And if you want to find us, actually, it is at Travel and Fish, not Traveling Fools. But if you type in Traveling Fools, we come up. Either way, at
How
Frantic
about the
Missy.
bird show in Thailand?
Oh, we can talk about bird shows in Thailand anytime. You ever see those girls that like shoot the ping pong balls? I was walking along one time and all of a sudden they give you like these menus when you go into the red light districts and they're like, oh, you want to see this, you want to see that. And all of a sudden it's like bird show on there. There's a picture of a parakeet. And I'm like, what the fuck is a bird show? I got to see this. Like what is it? And Jesus Christ, you ever see parakeets come flowing out? Yeah. Stick to ping pong balls. It's a lot less. It won't taint your mind.
I think that's how birds.
Have you?
It's like the bird
So
flu.
you have literally seen a vagina that can conceal a cockatoo.
And spit one out, not a cockatoo. Yeah, man. I mean, it's some scary
Like,
shit. Polly won a fucking cracker, man. Polly won a
And he's
cracker.
still married an Asian woman. I don't know why.
It's because she went with me.
Touche, sir. Touche.
Reminds me of a joke, actually. Okay, so there's this woman walking past a pet store, and the cockatoo goes to her, "Hey, lady, you're pretty ugly." She looks at this cockatoo like real angry, right? And next day she comes walking past, there's that cockatoo again. "Hey, lady, you're pretty ugly." And she comes into the store. She's really pissed off. She talks to the owner and she says, "You can't let that bird do that to me. And I will sue this store." And he goes, all right. I'll have a word with him. So store clerk goes up and has a word with the cockatoo. "Mate, you can't call that lady ugly anymore." "But she is ugly." No, I'm just telling you, you can't. All right. Otherwise, I'll sue the store and we'll be fucked and you'll be out on the street. All right. So lady comes walking past the window next day and he goes, "Hey, lady!" And she looks at him and he goes, "You know."
This is why we can't have nice things. What's awesome is there's an echo in your background. Says, "Meow." I was like, oh no, they're listening.
Okay,
Oh,
should we-
that's awesome.
Bye now. Thanks for having me, Frantic
Hey,
Missy.
Eric, thanks a lot, man, for coming on, dude. Like I said, anytime you're welcome back. Please join us
Sure.
again. It's been a load of fun. Vinny, you as well. It has been great fun. And for everybody that is, let me see if I can like close this out somewhat like semi-professionally.
Y'all are welcome to hang out for a few more minutes if you want.
Yeah. Hang on and chat for 2 seconds afterwards so we can like tell you thanks and all that jazz. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Allegedly, another episode in the books, and we really do appreciate every one of you. We love you all, and thanks for being here. Make sure you keep your eyes open because there's all kinds of crazy shit going on out there. You got to make sure we stick with it.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Have a good night and happy April Fool's Day.
Happy April Fool's Day.